Hey there, you. Ready to dive into all the latest in the AI world? Today's March 5th, 2025, and man, there's a lot going on,
It's always something, right?
that's for sure. So we've got news on some powerful new models out there, and some crazy hardware rumors.
Oh, and don't forget all those hot debates going on.
Oh, right. Like, can AI really be a therapist, or is that just too weird?
It's definitely a question a lot of people are asking.
So much to get to.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right in. Okay, so Cohere's new model, Aya Vision, is making huge waves.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's a 32B model that's going head to head with some of the bigger guys out there
And even winning, right?
in certain tasks, yeah. And you know what else? It works in 23 languages. Talk about multilingual.
That's incredible. But wait, I read somewhere that it has like a restricted license, right? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, for now it's only for research and experimentation. Could be a smart move by Cohere, keep things under wraps, make sure everything's okay before letting it loose on the world.
Makes sense. It's definitely a model to watch. Okay, moving on. What about 5.4? What's the scoop on this coding model everyone's talking about?
Well, it's super fast and efficient, especially for simpler coding tasks. Those everyday things coders need to do.
So it's like a coding assistant.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But some people are wondering if it can really compete with the big players like Qwen 2.5 Coder, when it comes to those complex coding challenges.
It'll be interesting to see how 5.4 evolves, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of evolution, how about we jump over to image creation? CogView 4 is the open source model generating all the buzz right now.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It can create images at 2048 by 2048 resolution.
Wow. I mean, that's a huge jump in quality.
Right. Think about it, like going from an old school standard definition TV to a brand new high definition one. Everything's just clearer and more detailed.
I see. So how's it doing that? I heard it's using something called the GLM4-9B VLM text encoder. What is that exactly?
You can think of it like this. It's the translator that takes your words and turns them into something the image part of the model can understand.
Like it speaks the language of AI art.
Exactly. But every artist has their quirks, right? CogView 4's got a few of its own.
Oh yeah? Like what?
Well, some people are saying its images have a kind of surreal, almost flux-like look.
Interesting. And what about hands? Is it still struggling with those?
Haha, yeah, the classic AI hand problem. It seems CogView 4 hasn't quite figured that one out yet.
Well, nobody's perfect, right? At least it's creating some interesting art. Okay, shifting gears again. Now we've got DiffRhythm, the AI that's spitting out complete songs, vocals, and all in under 20 seconds. How is it even possible to make music that fast?
It's all thanks to these things called diffusion models. It's like instead of building a song note by note, they kind of sculpt it out of a block of raw sound.
Sculpted out of sound. That's pretty cool. But the real question is, can you actually listen to it? Is it good music?
That's the big debate right now. I guess we'll have to wait and see how things evolve.
Well, it's definitely something I'm curious to check out. Now, how about we talk about a model that's making headlines for its performance? Grok 3 is currently at the top of the Arena leaderboard.
Yeah, right up there with GPT 4.5. It's killing it in everything from coding to creative writing.
So does this mean we're moving toward more general-purpose AI models?
Yeah.
Ones that can do a bunch of different things really well?
It could be a sign of that, yeah. Instead of having a different AI for every task, we might end up with a few powerful ones that can handle almost anything.
That would be amazing. But all this focus on leaderboards and competition, does it really tell the whole story about AI progress?
That's a good point. Leaderboards only show you part of the picture. The real test is how these models perform in the real world, solving real problems.
You're absolutely right. Okay, so speaking of real-world stuff, what about Qn32B Coder? This is another model that's making waves in the coding world.
Yeah, it seems to hit that sweet spot between performance and accessibility. It can run on less powerful hardware, which means more developers can use it.
So it's making those advanced AI tools more available to everyone.
That's the idea, and it's something I think is really important. As AI becomes more and more part of our lives, we need to make sure everyone can benefit.
Absolutely. Okay, we've talked a lot about software, but what about the hardware side of things? Are there any juicy rumors going around?
Well, there's been a lot of chatter about a new version of the Nvidia GeForce RTX 4090 graphics card.
You mean the one that's supposed to have 96 gigabytes of VRAM? Now that's what I call a beast. But hold on, I don't really get VRAM. What exactly is it? And why is more VRAM such a big deal?
Think of it as the graphics card's short-term memory. It's where it stores all the stuff it needs to render images and videos. The more VRAM you have, the more complex and detailed your graphics can be.
So a 96 GB RTX 4090 would be like a dream come true for anyone working with AI.
It would be a huge boost for sure. But remember, These are just rumors for now. We'll have to wait and see what Nvidia officially announces.
Okay, fingers crossed then. This has already been such a fascinating look into the AI world, and we're just getting started.
There's always more to explore.
That's what keeps things interesting.
Yeah, that 96GB RTX 4090 would be something else. But, while we're talking about powerful hardware, there's another idea out there that could have a huge impact on AI.
Oh, tell me more.
You remember all that talk about those immutable Linux distributions becoming more popular? The ones where you basically lock down the operating system to make it more secure?
Yeah, I remember that. It sounded like a great way to avoid all those security problems.
Right, exactly. So what if we did the same thing with AI systems?
What do you mean, like making the AI itself immutable?
Exactly. Think about it. The training data, the algorithms, the architecture, all those core components, locked down and tamper-proof.
Wow, that's a pretty radical idea.
It is, but it could really change the game when it comes to AI's safety and reliability.
So no more worries about models being hacked or manipulated.
That's the goal. It would mean building security directly into the AI itself from the ground up.
But wouldn't that be incredibly difficult to do? Especially with AI models constantly learning and evolving.
It would be a huge challenge, no doubt. But researchers are already looking into it, exploring things like cryptography, distributed ledger technology, even hardware-level security.
It sounds like the future of AI might not just be about bigger models and faster chips, but also about building a more secure foundation for everything to run on.
Exactly. And it's a good reminder that security and reliability are just as important as all those fancy new features and performance benchmarks.
I totally agree. Okay, so let's get back to something a bit more creative. What about DiffRhythm? You said it can write entire songs in just a few seconds.
Yeah, it's crazy fast. And it's all thanks to those diffusion models we talked about.
I remember you saying it's like sculpting sound instead of writing notes. But is the music any good? I mean, would someone actually want to listen to a song that was made that quickly?
That's the big question, isn't it? It's one thing for AI to make something that sounds like music, but can it really capture the emotion and artistry of a human composer?
That's a really good point. I guess we'll just have to listen to some DiffRhythm tracks and see what we think.
Exactly. Now, while we're on the topic of interesting models, let's go back to Aya Vision for a minute. You mentioned it has a non-commercial license, right?
Yeah, that caught my attention. What are the implications of that? Could it slow down AI research if people can't use it commercially?
It's definitely a possibility. Restricting access to advanced AI could create a gap between those who can afford it and those who can't.
So, independent researchers and smaller companies might be left behind.
It's a risk, for sure. But then again, there's also the argument that controlling access might be necessary to prevent misuse.
So it's a balancing act between controlling access and encouraging innovation.
Absolutely. It's a tough question, and there's no easy answer.
I could see that. Now, before we move on, I wanted to bring up something that's been generating a lot of discussion online.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a growing desire for simplicity in AI design.
You mean all the talk about Sonnet 3.7 being over-engineered?
Yeah. A lot of users are saying it's just too complex and that it overthinks things. They want AI tools that are powerful, but also easy to use.
It's an interesting trend. Maybe it's a reaction to all the complexity we've seen in AI lately.
So are we moving toward an era of AI that's more user-friendly?
It's definitely something to watch. After all, the best AI is the AI that people actually use and understand.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready for one last mind-blowing AI insight before we wrap things up?
I think I've got one more up my sleeve that's pretty wild. You know those modified Nvidia GeForce RTX 4090s we were talking about before?
The ones with like 96 gigabytes of VRAM? Yeah, those things are insane.
Yeah, well, they're not just a fantasy anymore. It sounds like people are actually building them and using them.
No way. So they're out there in the real world.
It seems so. Specifically for those really heavy AI tasks. Makes you wonder what's next, Are we going to see that kind of power in regular graphics cards soon?
Now that would be a game changer. Imagine what people could do with that much power at their fingertips.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. The rumor is they're going for about $6,000 a pop.
$6,000? That's a lot of cash. But I guess for some people that extra VRAM is worth every penny.
Right. I mean, if you're doing cutting-edge AI research, you probably don't mind spending a little extra. But here's the thing. Nvidia is also supposedly working on an official 48 gigabit version of the RTX 4090.
Oh, really? So there might be a more affordable option for those of us who aren't made of money.
Exactly. It's looking like there might be a powerful new card for everyone, from hardcore AI enthusiasts to more casual users.
That's great news for the entire AI community. It just shows how fast things are moving in the hardware world.
Absolutely. It's an exciting time to be involved in AI, that's for sure.
You got that right. Well, we've covered a ton of ground today. New models, hardware breakthroughs, even the ethics of AI development. It's incredible how much is happening in this field.
It really is. And it seems like there's always something new just around the corner.
That's what I love about it. There's never a dull moment in the world of AI. Anyway, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Always fun chatting about all things AI.
You too. And you! Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the amazing world of artificial intelligence.